Why Remco Evenepoel quit the Tour de France. A cautionary tale. Time is a precious resource in sports, and sometimes the biggest decisions can have the most profound impacts. Consider Remco Evenepoel's bold choice to step away from the Tour de France, not just to avoid injury, but to prioritize his long-term goals. His decision to quit the race wasn't about losing time. It was about reclaiming it. But here's where it gets controversial. Some argue that such sacrifices undermine the sport's integrity, while others see it as a necessary trade-off for personal growth. Meet Chris, a freelance sports journalist and podcaster, whose byline has graced everything from breaking news to in-depth profiles across publications worldwide. Since 2013, he's been a regular voice for Cycling Weekly, offering insights into the world of professional cycling. In 2024, he took on a new challenge, releasing a 7-part podcast titled Ghost in the Machine, which delves into the dark underbelly of motor doping in cycling. This project isn't just a documentary, it's a call to action, exposing the hidden dangers of performance-enhancing substances. Before diving into cycling journalism, Chris spent years as a ski, hiking, and cycling guide in the Canadian Rockies and Spanish Pyrenees. His passion for outdoor adventure likely contributed to his unique perspective on the sport, and if you're looking for a record breaker, he probably holds the title for conducting the most interviews from snowy mountain peaks. Now based in Valencia, Spain, Chris continues to blend storytelling with investigative reporting, proving that the road to success is often paved with both adrenaline and insight. And this is the part most people miss. Behind every headline lies a story waiting to be told. Whether it's the pressure of elite competition or the ethical dilemmas of performance enhancement, Chris's work reminds us that sports are as much about human stories as they are about trophies. So what do you think? Is the pursuit of victory worth the cost? Or does the sport need more transparency to thrive? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments. Remco Evenepoel on Tour de France abandon. The struggle behind the silence. Imagine pushing yourself to the limit, only to feel utterly depleted and unfulfilled. That's exactly what Remco Evenepoel experienced after the Dauphiné, leading to his unexpected withdrawal from the Tour de France. This revelation has sparked a lot of discussion among cycling enthusiasts and professionals alike. But here's where it gets controversial. Was his decision to abandon the race a sign of weakness, or a strategic move to prioritize his long-term health and performance? Let's dive deeper into the story and explore the nuances of this complex situation. Peter Stewart, the editor of Cycling News since March 2022, has been instrumental in overseeing the editorial output across all of Cycling News' digital platforms. Before joining Cycling News, Peter served as the digital editor of Relure magazine. His journey into cycling journalism began in 2012 when he joined Cyclist magazine as a staff writer, after starting his career as a freelance feature writer with bylines in prestigious publications like The Times and The Telegraph. Peter's background as an international rower, representing Great Britain at the under-23 level, and at the Junior Rowing World Championships, adds a unique perspective to his editorial approach. Remco Evenepoel's struggle is a poignant reminder of the mental and physical toll that elite cycling can take on athletes. His candid admission, "It just wasn't working, I was empty," highlights the immense pressure and expectations that come with being a top cyclist. The Dauphiné, a crucial preparatory race for the Tour de France, often serves as a litmus test for riders' form and readiness. For Evenepoel, it was a race that left him feeling drained and unmotivated. And this is the part most people miss. The decision to abandon the Tour de France wasn't just about physical fatigue. It was also a mental battle. The psychological aspect of cycling is often overlooked, but it plays a crucial role in an athlete's performance and well-being. Evenepoel's decision to prioritize his mental health over immediate competition success is a bold move that could set a new standard for how athletes approach their careers. But what do you think? Do you believe Evenepoel's decision was a sign of weakness, or a strategic move to ensure long-term success? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's spark a meaningful discussion about the mental and physical demands of elite cycling. Tour de France Stage 14 highlights. Arensman wins, Evenepoel abandons, Podium race intensifies. Tour de France Stage 14. Arensman breaks Senna's drought, Evenepoel withdraws, and the podium battle intensifies. In a thrilling display of endurance and skill, Thymen Arensman of Ineos Grenadiers clinched victory in Stage 14 of the Tour de France on Saturday, completing the last 37 kilometers of a grueling Pyrenees stage solo. Meanwhile, race leader Tadej Pogačar managed to extend his lead over Jonas Vingegaard by an additional 6 seconds. Unlike previous stages, there was no early breakaway today. The strategic placement of the intermediate sprint at the base of the Col du Tourmalet compelled Jonathan Milan's Little Trek team to work diligently to maintain the pack's cohesion. Milan rewarded their efforts by securing the maximum 20 points, although he soon found himself drifting back into the gruppetto, the group of riders who are struggling to keep pace. The climb up the daunting Tourmalet was significant for several reasons. Firstly, Lenny Martinez surged ahead, motivated by the king of the mountains points available at the summit of this or category, HC climb. He successfully reached the top first and also claimed victory at the Col d'Aspin, reclaiming his lead in the mountains classification. Secondly, the climb proved too challenging for some riders. Within minutes, both Remco Evenepoel and Matthias Gelmos had abandoned the race. Evenepoel, who had already faced difficulties in stages 12 and 13, found that a night's rest had not restored his strength. Gelmos, on the other hand, had aimed to excel in this stage but crashed into a traffic island early on. Although he briefly remounted, it was evident that he was too injured to continue. As the race approached the third mountain of the day, the Col de Persord, Martinez was joined by Sepp Kuss and Valentin Parrot-Painter, along with a group that included Simon Yates, Tobias Halland-Johannesson, and crucially, Thymen Arensman. It was Arensman who made a decisive move, attacking up the Persord, gaining a lead during the ascent and further extending it on one of France's fastest descents. This strategy provided the Dutch rider with a 3-minute advantage as the Tour de France neared Superbagners for the first time since 1989. It appeared that Arensman had built enough of a gap to secure Ineos's first stage win in 2 years, which ultimately proved to be the case. Pogačar, meanwhile, focused on maintaining his lead over Vingegaard during the final climb, even as the latter attempted a few attacks. Thymen Arensman makes history at Superbagners. The Tour de France has a penchant for revisiting its own history, and Stage 14 was a perfect illustration of this, mirroring an iconic stage from the 1986 Tour. The return to the Superbagners climb, which had not been featured since 1989, evoked memories of legendary cyclists like Greg LeMond, Laurent Fignon, and Robert Miller, now known as Pippa York. However, the narrative surrounding the Tour is not solely one of nostalgia. The underwhelming performance of Ineos Grenadiers has been compounded by troubling reports in the Irish and German media regarding a longtime Team Sky staff member who allegedly exchanged messages with Mark Schmidt, a doctor implicated in the Adderlast doping scandal during the 2012 Tour. Yet, as Arensman ascended from Lutchen to Superbagners, it's unlikely he was preoccupied with the events of 1986, 1989, or 2012. The 25-year-old had broken away from the leading group on the Col de Persord, built his lead on the descent, and maintained it as the race unfolded behind him. The final 2 kilometers of the Superbagners climb are particularly grueling, creating a tense situation where Arensman had a clear lead, but was aware of Pogačar and Vingegaard trailing just 90 seconds behind. If anyone could capitalize on a late collapse, it would be them. Ultimately, Arensman had enough of a buffer to savor this career-defining moment, finishing 1:08 ahead of Pogačar, who congratulated him warmly after the stage. Arensman is now only the 3rd Dutch rider in the past 50 years to win a mountaintop finish in the Pyrenees, following in the footsteps of Tom Dumoulin and Joop Zoetemelk. This is a milestone he will cherish for a lifetime. Pogačar plays it safe amidst challenging conditions. As the kilometers dwindled, the question loomed: would Tadej Pogačar make a move? With Arensman racing towards victory, the Slovenian needed to attack if he wanted to secure a 5th stage win in this Tour. The day prior, he had expressed his determination not to relinquish any stages he could potentially win. However, with just 4 kilometers to go and both riders out of teammates, it was Jonas Vingegaard who initiated an attack. Florian Lipowitz was quick to respond, followed closely by Pogačar, who comfortably closed the gap. Pogačar then launched a counterattack with 2.8 kilometers remaining, though it was not his most explosive effort. He found himself alongside Vingegaard on the mountain. The Dane made another attempt to break away, but when he couldn't shake Pogačar, The latter seized the opportunity to gain 4 additional seconds in the final 400 meters, plus 2 more once the time bonuses for finishing second and third were accounted for. Vingegaard's performance showed improvement, yet the gap between him and Pogacar remained significant. Without a substantial change in form, it's hard to envision a reversal when the race reaches Mont Ventoux on Tuesday. After the stage, Pogacar expressed relief at having navigated a treacherous day in the mountains. When you've been riding hard for 2.5 hours and reach the top of the Tourmalet, you think, it's a descent, it's easy, you can recover. But then you encounter thick fog, mist, rain, and a slippery road. You're exhausted, yet you must remain focused on the descent, which is vastly different from riding in dry, sunny conditions. We approached the downhill conservatively and managed to avoid any major mistakes. I believe we did an excellent job. Evenepoel's withdrawal raises concerns. Remco Evenepoel found himself with only a bottle of water and little else. A young child running alongside him was able to keep pace with his labored pedaling. The child wore a Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe jersey. The team Evenepoel is set to join from Soudal Quickstep next season. At just halfway up the Tourmalet, Evenepoel's race was effectively over. The peloton had dropped him effortlessly just a kilometer into the climb. He lacked power and, at that moment, the will to continue. In a poignant gesture, Evenepoel handed his water bottle to the child before dismounting his bike. A team staff member supported him as he slowly settled into the team car, his expression blank and rain-soaked from the Pyrenees. He appeared utterly defeated. These past 3 days will require significant reflection. Dropped before the Hautacam in stage 12, overtaken in a time trial during stage 13, and ultimately abandoned on a mountainside in stage 14, Evenepoel's performance has raised eyebrows. While the first 2 stages could be attributed to an aversion to heat, his early exit on the Tourmalet was shocking. In the 2023 Vuelta a España, where he lost 27 minutes in one stage, Evenepoel remained in the race, eventually winning a stage in the mountains jersey. Entering this tour with aspirations of victory, he found himself unable to replicate that resilience. According to his team, Evenepoel was not suffering from any injury. His withdrawal stemmed from being far below the level he expected. A serious crash during winter training had impacted his top-end speed, and the last 2 weeks have revealed how his overall fitness has been affected. "It was a very bad day, but giving up is not in my nature," he had posted on social media the night before. "We stand together and we fight together. While intent is one thing, execution is another." Evenepoel appeared a broken man on the bike. His directeur sportif, Tom Steels, commented post-stage, "He didn't feel his best. You hope things will improve on the road, but they didn't. He didn't have the legs to endure, so it's wiser not to continue and to recover properly. He still has goals for the season, and if he continued in the Tour, the rest of the year could be jeopardized. You must be cautious not to exceed your limits, or you risk losing months instead of just days." The podium race intensifies. With Evenepoel's absence, the race for the podium has opened up dramatically. He had been in third place over 7 minutes ahead, but now any of the contenders could emerge as intriguing stories. Florian Lipowitz, initially brought to the race as a super domestique for Primož Roglič, has unexpectedly shown as one of the top climbers, reinforcing his third-place finish in last month's Critérium du Dauphiné. Moreover, he was initially an afterthought in Red Bull's impending signing of Evenepoel, yet he has outperformed his future team leader. A podium finish at the Tour would validate his worth. Whether that future lies with Red Bull or elsewhere remains uncertain. Lipowitz has now ascended to third place and is wearing the white jersey as the best young rider. He is now the favorite for third after finishing fourth in the stage, being the only rider able to keep pace with Pogacar and Vingegaard. Remarkably, he only began serious training at age 19 after transitioning from biathlon. "I never imagined I could be in contention for the Tour," he remarked. "This is my second Grand Tour, and I've only been cycling for 5.5 years. If someone had told me this 5 years ago, I wouldn't have believed it." His teammate Primož Roglič remains in contention as well, having expressed his desire to reach Paris and cross the finish line after all these years, saying, "Oh well, long time no see, hey?" Together they form a formidable duo, with Lipowitz trailing Pogacar by 7:53 and Roglič by 10:34. "We will do our best as a team," Roglič stated when asked if he would support Lipowitz. But first, we need more significant mountains. In fourth place is Scotland's Oscar Onley, who is enjoying a breakout Grand Tour and earning valuable points for his Picnic PostNL team in their battle against relegation. The Dutch squad is now nearly safe, which will ease their efforts to retain the 22-year-old talent, who is just 125 behind Lipowitz. Fifth place is occupied by Kevin Vauquelin, a French rider aiming to become the first home cyclist on the podium since Romain Bardet in 2017. An underdog who was not initially considered an elite climber, he has consistently held his ground in stages without suffering major setbacks. The most natural attacker among the three, expect him to take risks in the Alps after losing 143 to Lipowitz in this stage. All four riders, Onley, Vauquelin, Lipowitz and Evenepoel, are now vying for the white jersey, with Lipowitz having claimed it following Evenepoel's withdrawal. They are separated in the general classification by a mere 241. Alaphilipp's old-school installation technique. In 2025, cyclists have access to a wide array of wet weather gear. The bulky rain jackets of the 1980s and 1990s have been replaced by high-performance clothing designed for various conditions. While the peloton welcomed the cooler temperatures during the Tourmalet ascent, the summit presented a classic problem of apparel. Surrounded by clouds and moisture, the descent would be chilly, prompting most riders to receive a gilet or rain jacket from their team car or a teammate. However, Julian Alaphilippe of Tudor Cycling opted for a more traditional method, snatching half of a homemade cardboard sign from a fan and tucking it into his jersey for warmth. For decades, cyclists would grab newspapers from spectators at the top of climbs to insulate themselves against the cold on descents. With fewer people carrying newspapers in the smartphone era, perhaps Alaphilippe's cardboard solution could become a trend. Or perhaps not. After all, while the fan who lost their sign might have been pleased it went to a good cause, it wasn't long before Alaphilippe swapped his makeshift windbreaker for a team-issued gilet. Stage 14 Top 10 Results. 1. Thymen Arensman, 4 hours 53 minutes and 35 seconds. 2. Tadej Pogacar, plus 1:08. 3. Jonas Vingegaard, plus 1:12. 4. Felix Gall, plus 1:19. 5. Florian Lipowitz, plus 1:25. 6. Oscar Onley, plus 2:09. 7. Ben Healy, plus 2:46. 8. Primož Roglic, plus 2:46. 9. Tobias Halland-Johannesson, plus 2:59. 10. Kevin Vauquelin, plus 3:08. Overall top 10 after stage 14. 1. Tadej Pogacar, 50 hours 40 minutes and 28 seconds. 2. Jonas Vingegaard, plus 4:13. 3. Florian Lipowitz, plus 7:53. 4. Oscar Onley, plus 9:18. 5. Kevin Vauquelin, plus 10:21. 6. Primož Roglic, plus 10:34. 7. Felix Gall, plus 12:00. 8. Tobias Halland-Johannesson, plus 12:33. 9. Ben Healy, plus 18:41. 10. Carlos Rodriguez, plus 22:57. What's next? Stage 15, scheduled for Sunday, July 20th, will take riders from Muret to Carcassonne over a distance of 169 kilometers, featuring hilly terrain. This stage is expected to attract breakaway specialists who see it as a potential opportunity. The finish in Carcassonne promises to be hot and possibly windy, adding another layer of challenge.